Hello folks, welcome back. Today I'm talking Lakewood Ranch versus Wellen Park. These two master plan areas all offer amazing things in their own outright. A lot to unpack, let's hop right in. Okay, before we talk about all the things that are different, which there are many, what they both are in the same sense are they're both master plan developments. They both have multiple neighborhoods that come together communally with similar geographic or social benefits to them. They both offer varying price points, a lot of new construction building opportunity, and varying lifestyles, entry level, 55 and up, custom, etc. All right, the first glaring thing that is a juxtaposition is location. So both of these areas sit in polar opposite parts of town. Wellen Park is in South Venice / Northport. So if you took downtown Sarasota, for example, which is real close to like Longboat Key and close to Siesta Key, then Venice as a reference is coastal but extremely far south, 45 minutes one way to downtown Venice from downtown Sarasota. Wellen Park sits below that. It's all the way at the southern end, right above Englewood. So very far south, but it does hug the coast. In contrast to that, Lakewood Ranch, in order to be as big as it is, went northeast. So it's also, most neighborhoods are about 45 minutes one way to downtown Sarasota, but in a different direction, basically. So you're going away from the coast, you're going towards the land, you're going towards Tampa, not towards Naples. And because of those two differences, there's some inherent benefits or deterrents depending on what you like. One is, Venice is coastal, but do you like the coast it's by? It's Venice Beach, it's Casperson, it's Brohard, the dog beach. Lakewood Ranch isn't really close to any beaches, but Venice isn't really closer to the beaches that are in Sarasota. So the Sarasota folks would probably go to Lido Beach or Siesta Key or Anna Maria Island because of the northern location. Oh, and by the way, real quick, I forgot to mention, I am Adam Hancock, if you're not familiar with me. I own a real estate brokerage based out of Sarasota, Florida. And I'm not going to bore you to death here with any call to actions or anything. The end of the video, I did include really important detail about infrastructurally navigating this moving forward. So please stick around just for a minute at the end. I'd love to add you some value there. Okay, beyond location, let's talk community makeup. And the first thing is housing variety. So Lakewood Ranch is 30 plus different communities. The oldest house built in Lakewood Ranch was built in 1995. You're chock full of variety. That is the benefit of going so far east. And that variety is going to span every end of the spectrum. You have all degrees of price points. You have all degrees of lifestyles. There is plentiful golf. There is resale homes versus new. There is mature landscaping versus completely platted out. You have two different 55 and up with Del Webb and Crestwyn. There's condominiums. There's walkability. There's separate districts as far as north to south that are 25 minutes apart from each other still in Lakewood Ranch. There's polo grounds. There's country property, there's boutique. You got all of that because of the bandwidth. Now, Wellen Park is very different. You can't build 35 communities out there, but that is the appeal to it. It's so far, it's coastal, basically. And what Wellen Park was it was an area called West Villages. So there's two parks that they combined. So the West Villages already existed. It was one of the most popular, retirement communities in the United States. And they had, if you've heard of Grand Palm, and they had a few different communities already there. And now they're calling it the West Villages District. And then they added a district called Playmore, which is about 5 or 6 new neighborhoods right now. And those two were rebranded as Wellen Park. They're going to do a downtown Wellen Park. It's a lot of walkability. And there's just less variety because you have 9, 10 total neighborhoods. But again, usually people are like, it's an appeal to it. They actually like that. And there's enough variety. The cool thing is if you love Venice, it's not like you have 2 options. All the price points are pretty even. And that brings me to, I guess, another real differentiator in beyond just like 25 more communities in Lakewood is the one thing always popped out to me was like the luxury part. So Lakewood Ranch has, they have price points to go up to like 5 million. They have they have like the Lake Club, looks like nothing else I've ever seen. Very luxurious. They have the concession like right near there. They have a lot of custom building. These large lakes that the land costs $300,000. Arthur Ruttenberg's all over there. Lee Wetherington's all over there. John Cannon. A lot of custom building. New community like Wild Blue. Starting price point's going to be like 1.9. Venice doesn't have any of that. So I think the highest end one in Wellen Park right now is Sam Rogers. And they don't have like a $4 million price point. But there's a lot more at $500K, $700K, $800K. So if you're looking for that, even like their Toll Brothers of the world are pared down versions to fit Venice. So it's very different. You're not going to have if you love the Lake Club and you don't want to go to like Osprey and Nokomis where they do have options for that, then Wellen Park's not going to satiate that need because it's going for a different aesthetic. And now I want to talk about social lifestyle. And the first one is communal amenities. One of the real benefits to the new regime of master plan communities is when you leave your individual nice neighborhood with your nice amenities, there are amenities made for the town. And that is unique. They're trying to solve almost like urban walkability, where back in the day you used to have to go into town to go out to a non-chain restaurant and for everything basically, This one is, they're collective, they're planned, they're cohesive. And what Wellen Park has is they're building, which opens I think in April of 2023, downtown Wellen. I'll show renderings here, but it's beautiful. It's going to be like a lake with a 2-mile walk around. There is going to be restaurants and shops and boutiques. There's an event venue, quite lovely. You can use kayaks and paddleboards and small watercrafts on that lake. And the cool thing here is a lot of Wellen Park's walkable. So that Playmore district of those 5 to 6 neighborhoods that are new, you can walk there. They also have the Braves Stadium, Cool Today Park, which does, I think they're trying to do over 300 live events a year, more than baseball games. There will be live events. And a lot of that you can see from all those new communities. So that one's going to be really cool for those residents. And those neighborhoods aren't huge, so that shouldn't be like overrun by just those communities, basically. So that's when, and there might be some pickleball and some sports courts that are outside. But a lot of those neighborhoods are low amenity neighborhoods or no amenities, and they're really viewing downtown Wellen as the amenity. Contrast Lakewood Ranch, they just have more of that. So Lakewood Ranch has these districts. So Waterside, the district of Lakewood Ranch, which is going to encompass in about 6 months from now, will probably be from 2 neighborhoods to like 9. That is the city within Lakewood Ranch. Has its own downtown Waterside Place, open to the public, but it's a full-on downtown. Huge bodies of water, watercrafts, the same exact thing as Wellen in a lot of ways. But on top of that, Lakewood then adds downtown Lakewood Ranch. It's another one. Then you have University Town Center, which is both sides of the street, huge town center, a mall, multiple shops. Over half of the acreage in Lakewood Ranch is set aside for green space and trails and all that. There's public parks. So again, you just have more of everything. So depending on where you fall on the two, you should be able to have enjoyability here. But Lakewood Ranch's walkable districts, one big key here, is some of the most expensive housing in all of the entire Lakewood Ranch area. The most affordable houses aren't walkable and they're far from all the downtowns. That's a big divide. Wellen Park, a lot of affordability that's walkable, and they're not a bunch of condos. It's normal neighborhoods. It's almost all the neighborhoods. So I would say that's your big differentiator on those two. Okay, and then I want to talk about just general vibe, if I can articulate this correctly. So what Venice is historically, 5, 7, 10 years ago. Venice, Florida, quaint, coastal, like a way more docile version of a Siesta Key. It's charming, it's historic, it's quaint. That's how those beaches feel. It feels more protected, more dune-esque. It just feels more laid back. And it has this like older population moniker to it. And you can talk about the demographic and all that. But that's what it was. So then you add Wellen Park. Wellen Park is all new, but it's not 50 communities. So it's like Rev 2 of Venice. It's also south. So, but when you're there, it does not feel like Lakewood Ranch. It still feels small. It still feels quaint. It's just not everyone can just buy a resale home because they're in Venice. A lot of people like new construction and they want a happy medium. That's the best way to describe it. But I feel like they did keep the allure of being in Venice. Lakewood Ranch, on the other hand, is full on Pleasantville. It is suburbia, and it's the best one. So if you value suburbia and you're looking at top master plan in the United States, it's the best mousetrap. But it looks in person exactly like it does online. It feels new. It feels pleasant. There's Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. People are riding their bike. You're like, what are all these people doing? You're like down here on vacation. You're like, does anyone work? It feels like it's planned, and it just happens to be the best version in Florida, in my opinion. So those two are divided in that respect. They're not trying to be each other. They don't really compare because they are not each other, but to each their own. They're both really, really interesting fits. Okay, and then I want to mention schools before we take off here. Schools in Venice this is one of the misnomers of it's all really old, is there's a lot of schools right there, and no one's really school choicing to go south to Venice if they don't live there. But what you have here is you have really highly rated schools overall. So one in the north of the island, you have Pineview School of the Gifted, the #1 elementary public charter school in the entire United States, I believe. That's in Osprey. You have Venice Senior High. That's on the island, actually. It's just as highly as rated as Riverview and Lakewood Ranch. You have Venice Middle. You have Laurel Nokomis, which is a K-8. So depending on where you fall, they're all pretty highly rated, though. Pretty easy to get. There's Montessori, there's charter. It's pretty easy to get a highly rated school. And all those kids will live around that area, which is cool because it's small and it's quaint. Lakewood Ranch has just a myriad of options depending on where you are. For the most part, they're pretty highly rated. If you're in Manatee County, you have Golet Elementary, you have Nolan Middle. Depending on where you sit, your Braden River High School or Lakewood Ranch High School. People talk about it with high esteem. If you're in the Waterside District, you are in Tatum Ridge Elementary because you're in Sarasota County now. McIntosh Middle, potentially. The high school in the lower Lakewood Ranch, if you're in Sarasota, it does get weird because there's not a high school over there. And you're not in Lakewood Ranch unless you're school choice, if you're allowed to do that. So Booker High is your high school, and it's all the way on the west, on the coast above the airport. So that gets a little clunky if you don't go private. But all in all, typically you can kind of target and navigate where you want to be. And schools shouldn't be an issue really in either one of these districts, especially in the next 4 or 5 years when they mature as far as development. All right, so hopefully my off the cuff, from the heart view of Wellen Park versus Lakewood Ranch did you some good, added you some value. If you could just give me one more minute of your time, I just want to clarify something real quick that I think is important. When buying a new home especially in Florida, ideally what you want to get right is someone with your best interest in mind and someone that works with that person over the long haul in a way that's non-adversarial. And what I mean by that is a realtor representing you is the only person with your best interest in mind. The rep on site works for the builder inherently, right? So you want to get those two parties right. This is a long process. You could be 12 to 18 months to build a house. The problem is a lot of things look cool up front, and month 9 there's problems, month 12 there's problems. Now the caveat of all of this is almost 100% of the time buyers in Florida do not pay any real estate commission. It is a free service. It's $0. Now one of the misnomers is buyers believe a lot of the times or told that they save money by not using a realtor. That they pass that on to you. Not true at all. Reps on site, people believe, that make more money and can incentivize you if there's not another party involved. That is also not true. They don't make any more money. They don't care. They don't benefit. So a lot of them would rather you have a realtor because it's 2 people. So if you plan it right and it works out right, you have 2 people with you for the long haul. And if those 2 have a good relationship and have done it before, then it really is the best of both worlds. Now, with all that being said, if you resonate with that and you believe that, then what you want to do is make sure that you can actually transact like that. And the ways that you get messed up a lot of times are you get tied to a realtor you don't want to work with, and it's very hard to unwind. And that could be someone bringing you there one time, or you calling them and them calling down to the builder and calling your name and information in because they're scared you're going to go there without them. It happens. It's subtle, Second is you go on a website of a builder, or you go in there in person the first time and you get registered by yourself, you and your wife by yourselves, without a realtor. And unbeknownst to you, a lot of times you can't bring one in later, and it does not look like you're registering your life away because it might be asking for more information. Fill out this card when you walk in, something like that. So if you can avoid that kind of thing, at least so you can make a poised decision when you're ready, that's what I would advise. Now, it's a karma game. Things work themselves out. I just wanted to have mentioned it because that's what happens to a lot of folks. I'm going to put a URL right here. I'll also put our email address and our phone number. If you want more information, if you want a quick discovery call with our team, anything like that, I would really encourage you to check that out. I believe my team knows more about new construction, relocation in this kind of descriptive way than anyone in the entire state. The unique thing about us is this is all we're doing. I'm hovering on new construction. If you named any community in Sarasota or Manatee County, I could tell you every single one, and north of Clearwater to south of Marco Island, I believe, that the price points, why you would do that versus this. And that kind of leaves you with a no regrets kind of thing where you could feel warm and fuzzy when you signed a contract knowing that you knew at least the semblance that you knew everything. So please do that if you like any of these videos or any of that kind of thing. More importantly, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the next one.